So we have our sponsor Ege Tokerud from CEO and founder of EIBA, Sacha Guetta on the right, content creator and influencer Angèle Albreng from the Stop Fisher, and Stéphane Vogetta, former member of Parliament. So thank you very much. Shiny, sorry, over to you.
Thank you, Jean-Christophe. So I opened with the first panel this morning, and I think it's the last one.
Yes, it's the last one for sure.
Perfect. So I'm very glad to have you guys to discuss this important topic. So when we talk about content creators, we always struggle to define who we are really talking about. There is a lot of confusion, but also projection around the definition of a content creator and the role and the power we attribute to them. Behind this term, there is a very wide range of realities, different formats, different audiences, different level and different responsibilities. But despite this diversity, one thing is clear. Creators are now fully part of our digital and information ecosystems. And for many young people, obviously, they are key points of reference. We are also seeing how attractive this role has become. A recent study shows that 62% of journalism students are considering becoming content creators. That shift tells us how much the landscape is evolving. Most of creators today are on the front line of online hate. They face harassment, sometimes coordinated, and feel left alone to deal with it. So sorry, it's not that positive. And when they react, when they denounce, expose it, they sometimes contribute to its amplification. Because of this position, creators have also the capacity to set the tone within their communities. And we are already starting to see this happen. More and more creators are speaking out about online hate and harassment, trying to raise awareness and to protect also their communities. But it is, for the most part, still fragmented and still very individual, so it's not structured at all. So how do we ensure their protection? How do we fully integrate them into our national or political answers in a more structured and supported way? So I will have the pleasure to discuss this with Sacha, Angèle, Stéphane, and Ege. Thank you for being here. I think we can begin with you, Sacha, because you actually work very closely with content creators. And I think that you have some testimonies, actually, of some of them we would love to hear, because we always speak about content creators, but it's very rare to have their words on what they experience on their everyday life. Thank you.
So I have two presentations. The first one is from Yasmina. She's an influencer that have more than 500K on social media. I'm Yasmina, I'm 33 years old, and sometimes I feel like simply existing on social media is enough to make me a target. A video of me dancing, something completely normal, can very quickly become a pretext to sexualize me, judge me, put me under a real pressure, just become a woman, just because I'm a woman, and then it all snowballs. The comment, the mockery, the repost, and even the fake content created with artificial intelligence to undress me. The hardest part is that when the people decide to hate you as a group, it almost becomes as a trend. And from that point on, every notification fills me with dread. I refresh my comment in fear of seeing that hated again, that reminder that some people I shouldn't even exist just because I exist online. And it can go on for weeks, sometimes months, for no valid reason whatsoever. At 33, going through that alone is an incredibly violent experience. The second one is from Capé. He's an influencer doing humoristic things. My name is Capé. I create content to make people laugh, to build moment, references, sometimes even discomfort. Because that's part of the internet too, but the moment a phrase, a joke, or a clip takes off, it doesn't really belong to you anymore. It gets cut you up, reposted, twisted, and sometimes communities push an idea to the extreme. What was supposed to be funny become a label, then a collective mockery, And the worst part is that even the creators lose all control over the context, the tone, the speed at which it's spread, like it's not normal. Within a few hours, it can turn into a group effect, and for weeks, sometimes months, and for some influencers, some like 2-3 years of this type of conflict. Sometimes when you keep seeing the same edits, the same comment, the same references, at that point, people no longer see you as a person, but they see you as a character they can replay against you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for those testimonies. Maybe with you, Angèle. Sorry, I just realized I didn't really explain who you are, so I will do that right now. So just to make sure everybody understands, so Sacha is a brand strategist and the creative producer. So now back to you, Angèle. You are representative of the NGO Stop Fisha that fight against sexist and sexual cyber harassment and support victims every day. So what's your experience on an everyday basis? What are you seeing? What are the dynamics? Who are the first victims of online hatred?
Thank you very much. I think at Stop Fisha, before working with influencers, we work with individuals like you and me that don't really have a platform. When I say individuals, I mean mostly women, because most of the time it is women, especially women of colors and gender minorities, that end up being victim of cyber violence. So we mostly work with these women that have seen their content being shared online without their consent. We also have other people coming to us because they're victim of other kinds of cyber violence. This can look like stalking, doxing, impersonation, flashing, all kinds of cyber violence, sadly. Similarly, when it comes to influencers, it is again mostly women with big platforms coming to us, talking about similar cyber violence, but I feel like for influencers, there are also some very specific violence that they are a victim of. I'm thinking about doxing, also a lot of stalking, also a lot of threats, sometimes on live streams. Can be rape threats, it can be violence threats, impersonation campaigns, cyber harassment campaign, all of that. So yeah, I guess at Stop Fisha, we really see that it is most of the time women, influencers or not, being victims of men most of the time. Sometimes men that are part of what we call incel groups or the manosphere that are perpetrating these violences against women. So yeah, women and minorities are victims of violence perpetrated by men most of the time.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I told you it would not be so positive, but we will go to the positive part. Stéphane Vogetta, you're a former French MP who has been closely involved in shaping the regulation of influencer in France. So you have been very active on those issues, both through the influencers, creators, regulation law, I would say. And then you worked on the recommendation paper together with Arthur Delaporte with the mission of reshaping the influencer economy. So can you tell us more about your recommendations? And you have specifically this certification. One of the recommendations is on the certification of creators. Can you tell us more about it? What is it exactly, and what's the objective? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation to speak here and for your interest in this topic. I'm going to look a bit on the positive side as well, in the sense that I think that there are issues on the social networks. There are issues related to the freedom of speech used as an excuse to do whatever you want and whatever you're not prevented to do on the social networks and on the digital platforms. But we regulators, we lawmakers can do something about it at the national level, at the European level. That's been done in recent years at the European level in particular through the DSA, which in particular helps us to fight against hate speech in particular. But it is true that in France, a colleague of mine, Arthur de Laporte, and I identified some loopholes and some gaps in that regulation, in particular in relation to the behavior and the attitude of influencers when they are used as an advertising channel. That's why we decided to do an ad hoc regulatory framework for this activity. Also, it allows us to enforce some rules and some laws that are aimed at commercial activity and that are not aimed at restricting freedom of speech. Therefore, it gives us the freedom to act, whereas if we were suspected to want to restrict freedom of speech, then there are various institutional and constitutional rules that would have prevented us from doing so. So we focus on commercial aspect of influence, but by doing so, we are still able to launch key messages, to mobilize the ecosystem, and to clarify some basic rules. What we did during that process, that legislative process, was create an environment that was very prone to media attention. The media was very much focused on our work. Influencers, agents, advertisers got involved in the debate about our legislation, because usually you start to regulate a new sector, a new industry. Basically, that sector doesn't want to be regulated. They all tell you, no, you don't need to regulate us, self-regulation will work, don't worry. But we were worried. We were worried because we were witnesses of abuse, of misleading messages, of abuse of trust, of violence. And that cannot be condoned by a regulator who is aware of his surroundings. So therefore, we decided to work together with the ecosystem. We mobilized the ecosystem. And we managed to bring alongside some key influencers who sometimes understood, thanks to the debate, what they were doing wrong, how their use of freedom of speech was basically putting other people in a harmful position. They were airing or harmful contents, dangerous contents. They became aware of that. They became aware of why we were trying to put in place some rules to protect their audience, and sometimes to protect themselves and protect the reputation of the content creators. Because at some point in France, there was so many controversies around this industry that it kind of became a slur to be called the content creator of an influencer. 3 years after, I think this has moved on. Now, everyone realizes that there were some bad apples, people who behaved wrongly and who were aware of their wrongful behavior. And by the way, most of the time they were doing that from outside our borders, because they could avoid not only our taxes, but also our laws and our rules. But now, those are the bad apples, but we are more aware of what is a rightful behavior, what is the right way to do commercial influence, and hopefully that's something that Europe will be able to extend to the European level. And in terms of certification, I think I will come back to that on my in my second answer.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ege Togerud, you're CEO and co-founder of EBA, a company building AI tools to detect and prevent harmful behavior online. Can you tell us more about what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're all talking about here is like, we can solve this. And we can solve this by using more technology. So what we do is we analyze all user-generated content. It could be text, pictures, voice, in real time, so it can be stopped before the harm happens. So, and we're using AI, of course, like all the tech companies, but I think this is a really good use case. That's what we're doing. And our customers are like the online platforms, online games, social media, marketplaces, etc.
Okay, thank you. So you basically you don't work directly with people. It's B2B. Okay.
Yeah,
thank you.
exactly.
Thank you very much. Sorry. Maybe a question for you. So you said that the creators were not like on specific. You're not like the creators are not necessarily the only ones who are targeted, of course, as you said. But do you work with creators? What is the link between Stop Fisher and the creators? And yeah, concretely, how does it? Do they ask you, for instance, when you know they are targeted by hatred or harassment?
Yeah, so Stop Fisher has been working with influencers for over 6 years now. So yeah, I think we can safely say that yes, influencers are still like a big target of these online harms. Yeah, so I think influencers feel safe to come to us and to discuss the cyber violence that they've been a victim of, and we're here to help them and to try to like put them in the right position and like try to help them really as much as we can to fight these violences.
Okay, thank you. And Sasha, what do the creators what do they say about what should be done? What do they ask for? Do you feel that they have the tools on the everyday basis? Do you feel that they know what they can do when they are confronted to hatred and harassment? If they know NGOs, if they know that there is, for instance, Pharos, or the fact that they can, of course, file a complaint and so on?
It depends on the platform. But all the platforms are different algorithms. Like they have the whole same thing as you. Like they're all analyzing all the content and they're making like a resume of it, so we know what they are talking about and we check the image before, so we don't have sexualized or like red blood or anything like that. But the problem is that we have too much content that are posted on social media and we cannot control it. And what we need to put in interest today is that we need to have a group in each platform that is available to check, but like human check, not like an AI check for the big influencers. I'm not talking like to the little people that are posting something that's going too much on the media. People are reposting it and he wants to delete it and he cannot. That's the problem of internet. You post it, it's for internet now, it's not yours anymore. But we need to have a group of a person that is available 24/7 to answer the influencers, because when they have a problem, they have no one to talk about. And when they have a problem, like someone posting a video saying, yeah, this girl doing like sex with these boys, and I have the video, I can post it if I want. And this type of content, even if the guy have 100 followers, it's gonna make 2 million views, because TikTok is not looking at your followers, it's looking at what the content's doing. And the content is talking about drama, and drama is performative on TikTok. So reconciliation, it's not working. It's not statistic for them. So they putting that, they put the influencers to rush on them, because when you rush on someone, you're getting statistic back. So you get followers back, so you get money back. And people don't care now about like making advertisement with like brands. Why? Because TikTok is paying too much now. YouTube also is paying too much now. Snapchat is paying so much for making bad content on, like, you know already what's going on Snapchat. So we need to have some people that are checking those content, and we need those people to, you can certify people. You have some people that are certified, and if you see their content, you're gonna be like, no, they need to be banned right now. So we need to have a real check on that, so the people that are seeing the content can have a real content in front of us. And it's our kids. It's the next generations coming. It's not normal to put all the social media on mercury, on putting the fingers on something, because everything is that right now.
Thank you, Sasha. We were supposed to be in the positive part, but okay, thank you. Anyway, by the way, Stéphane Vegeta, so Sasha just spoke about the certification. That makes me in a very subtle way. Coming back to you on this certification recommendation.
Yeah. So of course, how do you align everyone on the right objectives, i.e., making internet and social network a safer place for both the content creators and the audience? There are basically two ways to incentivize. I mean, it's as old as the world. You have the carrot and you have the stick. So we, as regulator, we tend to use the stick more than the carrot, because that's how the law works. But when we create a new law, a new regulation, we don't do it because we want to send people in jail, or we want to name and shame, or because we want them to pay fines. We create new laws and new rules because we want to change mentalities and want to change behaviors. So one of the elements of that's relevant for this conversation is the certification. Indeed, there is an element of an example of professional certification in French, which is called the certificat de l'influence responsable, the certificate for responsible commercial influence. It's a certificate that is delivered, a training that is delivered, and a certificate that is delivered by ARPP, which is a professional advertising body. But it is actually a statistical anomaly in France, because there are 150,000 influencers who do not make a living, but who earn money through their commercial activity on the social networks. But there's only 2,200 influencers who have achieved the certificate so far. So one of our recommendations is that that certificate, or a certification and a proper training, has to be compulsory if you want to have a commercial influence activity. In particular, if you advertise products or services that can be harmful or dangerous to some people. Online gambling, adult content, dangerous or high-risk investments, all of that, in the real world, you cannot advertise that just like as you want. You have to follow some strict guidelines. You have to include some safety warnings. You have to be very careful about following the rules. Well, the same rules now apply online. That's what our law, the French influencer law, states. But a law only works if people who are targeted know the rules. Okay, certification is about that. So there should be an obligation for influencers and for agents, their agents or the advertiser, to be aware of the rules and to comply with them. We want the responsibility to be shared, basically, in relation to the harm that can be done online and on a social network. It has to be shared and not only left with the influencer, which is the old approach. Basically, some brands were using influencers to make their advertising because they could do things, or they felt that they could do things and say things on the social networks that could not be said or done on traditional television advertising or radio advertising. That cannot be the rule and the method anymore. You cannot use the social networks and the influencers to circumvent common sense rules. So the responsibility must be borne by advertisers, agents, and also by the platforms. Platforms have to put in the hands of influencers the tools that help them comply with the rules. For instance, now I rent a lot of bikes when I'm in Paris, because I don't live in Paris, but when I'm in Paris, I move a lot, and I rent bikes. And sometimes I rent bikes at midnight or 1 in the morning. And I was positively surprised a few weeks ago when, before allowing me to take my rental bike, I had to answer a few questions. Are you aware that you cannot drive under the influence of alcohol? Yes, I'm aware. Do you have a helmet with you? Are you aware that you cannot ride on the sidewalk, etc.? I was like, oh, I'm not drunk, but thanks, that's a good reminder, and it's useful to remember. So I think when an influencer wants to advertise an investment in Bitcoin, he should probably be prompted by the platform to check a couple of things and to make sure that he remembers that he has to that he has to put a warning, a safety warning, that he has to exclude from his audience anyone under 18 years old, and that also applies for anyone who wants to advertise OnlyFans or other adult-only platforms, etc., etc. So those rules, they have to be known and they have to be enforced, and that's why we recommend that certification is generalized and compulsory.
Thank you, very interesting. Ege, I would love to have your perspective on all of this. What are the dynamics that you are, observing, and how can you scale up also with this project? Yeah, tell us more.
Thank you for the question. And also, I can be a little bit positive, because on the positive side, most people are actually nice. That's how we see it. So it's less than 0.5% that actually make all the noise out there. So I think that's a good way just to start with. And also that we need to not make the world for the 0.5%, but for the rest of the world as well. But what we see is by detecting this really harmful behavior early and either sanction them or removing them from the platform or warning them, you get to have a community that's much more thriving, much more friendlier. And as faster you do it, the better the community goes. And we also, for example, see that the good communities, that's also very good for the business as well. Because people that has to be somewhere, they don't come back. We often see that. So for example, in the online games, which we are, that's where most of our customers are, because we started out to protect the kids and teens from the really bad content like cyber grooming, radicalization, self-harm. And we see that they're not coming back if they see all this harm at all. And also, like us humans, we are not able to see this harm. And that's where the AI comes into the picture. So our experience is that the machine learning that's working for us, we've been working for this for 10 years now. We see that they're able to detect those very small signals in the behavior, in the content, super early, before a human even can see it. We don't see it now either. And by using technology to detect those signals early and do the intervention, we see that that's super important to do.
So basically what happens when you detect the signal? Because when you detect the signal, it's not too late. So what happens concretely?
Yeah, exactly. So, and we help our customers, online games, social media platforms, to stop the harm before it happens, before it escalates. So then the platform, they will get a warning from us, and based on this, they either sanction the player, but also send a warning, because if it's a child which is harassing another child, we also often see they're not aware of that they're toxic at all. So having this grown-up in the room that says, well, if you continue having this bad behavior, then we have to remove you from the platform. Very often we see that, oh, am I harmful? I didn't know. Thank you for saying it. And that's on the kids' side, of course. But yeah.
Okay, and I would not ask you to do name and shame, of course, but could you do like a wall of fame and telling us what are the platforms that you are working with?
Yeah, absolutely. We just signed our first US customer. Not sure if I can mention them, but Movistar Planet, a Danish game, has been a very good supporter and a very good client since the beginning. They experienced this really harmful behavior and wanted to do something about it. That's one customer I can share. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. To all of you guys, maybe a question before we ask the audience if they have some questions, but how do we scale up? How do we make sure to go to next step? And yeah, what's your recommendations? Like the most important ones?
I think that, in my opinion, the most important thing is to let the opportunity to influencer for them to speak up and to say what they need. And from that, we should probably try to create a framework that is adapted to the influencer's specific needs. I think that if we listen to them, we probably will be able to find a very creative way to solve the issue and to help them fight against these whole online harms that are a victim of. If I was to mention one specific way that I think would really help, I think we should really regulate the sector and specifically focus on regulating the manosphere that are the one causing most problem at the moment. Same like the incel group, whatever you want to call them, but trying to regulate these because they are the one that are the perpetrators that are causing these cyber violence, and they participate into bringing this ideology to life not only on the internet but also in like everywhere. In the society, in the brain of little boys from very, very early on. So yeah, I think we should probably start listening to influencers and regulate the manosphere.
Maybe Stéphane?
No, I have so many ideas. Now, we actually just delivered a report to...
First, you should read it.
To the Prime Minister in France with 78 recommendations. So most of them apply to this conversation, but among them, one key recommendation is do not be afraid, let's not be afraid of technology. We Europeans tend to be afraid of progress and technological progress. No, let's master technological progress and use it to our advantage, to the advantage of the values we want to prosper on our platforms, on our social networks. So let's use artificial intelligence to identify danger before it actually makes some damage. Let's actually put in the hands of the government the tools that can help the government to identify potential trends that could become helpful, so that can be stopped before they actually develop. Let's put some responsibility on the platform, and that's on Europe. Europe has to do two things. Europe has to harmonize the regulation of influencers, if possible, based on the French law, which was the first and I think the best so far. And they're going to do that through the Digital Fairness Act, which is a new law that will be passed hopefully in 2026. And second, Europe has to resist a bit more the lobbying of the platforms who say, oh, no, I'm not responsible for anything that's on my platform. I'm just, a publisher. The guys who are responsible are the users, the content creators. No, look, a judge in Amsterdam this week told to Twitter, look, guys, until you remove the nudification capability of Grok from your platform, you will have to pay 100,000 euros per day. Okay, but you have to remove it, because it's not when someone is being nudified on the social networks against their own will and without their consent, using your tool, it's not only the guy who has done that or the girl who has done that who is responsible. It's you first, because you put the gun in their hand. Okay, what else? Also, well, no, that's the first 3 points, but I think they're kind of useful.
Yeah. Thank you. Ege, maybe?
Yeah, well, someone once told me, Hege, if you want to change the world, you have to work within technology. And I think that's super important, that we all work more within technology and also embrace it and also educate, not just ourselves, but also our kids and also the elderly as well. So we see especially the vulnerable people are getting left behind. So if one thing, education, not just for the end users, but also for the ones that are changing the world, building these platforms and telling them about all the danger that is out there, like giving them the power to the safety by design, how to really make the good services. That's one very simple advice and wish from my side.
Not that simple, but yeah, very important. Thank you.
And I would say the brand need to care about the people they're engaged, because they just looking at the statistic. 5 years ago, they were caring about the image of the people they were looking for. Now they're just looking into the statistic. Why? Because people forget very quickly now. So when you get even a brand get a drama now, it's just gonna get 48 hours, that's it. So they don't even care, they just care about money. So when you have people making like full content to provoke, you know, and to make views, those advertisements go on into those persons. So we need to have like a regulation, like we have certification to do things. So if you want to be an advertiser on different subjects, it depends, as you said, on the service, on the product. But if you want to be an advertiser, you need to have a full digital concept of what is to be an advertiser and what is to talk about a project or a service to someone, you know? So I think care about that.
Very interesting. Thank you. Thank you so much to the four of you. Maybe there are some questions in the room.
Thank you. Thank you for a great panel. The platforms used to do things like YouTubers for Change, which was a thing where influencers got together to kind of change the tone on the platform towards the positive. I'm wondering kind of why the platforms have stopped doing things like that. YouTubers for Change hasn't existed since like 2019. The COVID thing led to like little pop-ups saying, here's like some actual information from WHO on all the posts about vaccines and stuff like that, which is a safety by design element that worked for that specific case, but it could be applied to other things as well. And we've seen attempts at that, but less so lately. So how do we change the behavior of the platforms? And like one thing is finding them, like the Dutch government is doing now with X, but also they're finding like 100,000 euros a day, which is like 36 million a year, which is pocket change for the world's richest man. So like where do we go in order to get the platforms to like actually change and actually also be part of building the community of influencers to drive a more positive development on the platforms?
I can start. Question is, how do we deal with the greenwashing of the digital platforms? Right? They spend money pretending to do the right thing, but at the end of the day, they don't want to do the right thing because it's contrary to their economic interest. They don't care about the right thing. Okay. Best example is, you know, the moderation tools for the time that kids spend on their phones. Okay, whenever I go visit in Washington, the head of child safety of Meta, she gives me the best presentation on the latest tool protecting kids on Insta, on Facebook, etc., etc. And then when I ask, okay, that's great, how many of the less than 18-year-old accounts use those tools? What percentage? Oh, we don't have the numbers. I cannot tell you. Voilà. We all know it's 0.01%. They create the tool, but they don't want it to be used. Okay. So what did we do in France? In France, we did stop the bullshit. Okay. You have the capacity to prevent harm being done on your platforms and on the social networks. As long as you don't use that capacity to protect people, in France, for instance, we will prevent youngsters, teenagers of less than 15-year-old from accessing the platforms. Okay, the day you demonstrate that you actually take care of things and protect people, then we will reconsider our position. But for now, we have no choice. And I'm a liberal, and I don't like to prevent things. But sometimes you have to create a relationship of strength and tell them, if you want to have access to our teenagers, then you have to behave accordingly.
Just a question for me. Don't you think that this is maybe shifting the responsibility, you know, from the platforms to actually the young people?
No, I mean, the platforms, they want to have access to young people because they are the future users and they are the ones that they are training to become addicted to the platform. So they need those young people, they need the 12, 13-year-olds to be online. If we prevent them to be online one way or the other, they are going to suffer economically. At least that's the way I see it. That's why I was in favor of that move. Of course, I mean, it's not great to prevent people from doing something, and I think it's useful for teenagers to be online and to be able to have some activities online, but they don't need to be on the TikTok timeline, on the For You trending topics of TikTok. They don't need to drown under skinny talk content and stuff like that. So if we have to well, people, teenagers are prohibited to drive a car for some reason. They don't have the right to drink alcohol for some reason. There is a difference between being a minor and an adult. Okay, there's always been a difference, a legal difference. Well, it can apply as well to the social network.
They're already doing it. Like in China, you have Douyin. It's not TikTok, and they have like educational content, and you have a limit, like 4 hours per day, I think, something like that. It depends on your age also, and they're clarifying the content. Every content that is posted on Douyin is posted to make understand something, an idea, a concept, just to understand something. Like all the young people are on their smartphone, so they put the knowledge on the smartphone. They change how they see, how we get the knowledge, you know. So we have AI, we have new tools that can make us get all the information like in 1 second and have the answers and be like, okay, I can go straight. So we should like just say TikTok, just do the same thing in Europe and it's going to be great. That's it.
Thank you. So Ege and then Angèle, maybe?
Yeah, I just want to add one thing, and that's business models. I think we need to do something with the business models, that it's not very good business to have all this stuff. And also, one other thing is research shows that it's actually good business with healthy communities. So I think we should also have more research on this topic and share it with the industry. So we have to show the numbers that this is actually good business. I think that's also important.
Thank you. And I have to say that thanks to the DSA, the Digital Services Act, the European regulation, there is more and more researches on this issue. Even if we don't have enough today, you're right, there is more and more. So it's positive, I think. Angèle, maybe?
Yeah, I just wanted to add a bit of nuance to the trying to prevent young people to access social media, because I feel like such a regulation is shifting the responsibility on the wrong people. And I think we have a tendency to forget that social media, even though they can bring bad things, right? Okay, they can also help young people to build a community or just to express themselves, to meet new people, to have new hobbies, I don't know, to do a lot of great things. Again, most of people on social media are not bad people. So it is good to also stress that we probably shouldn't be shifting the responsibility of this online harm and put it on young people that want to enjoy their time on social media. I think it is not really fixing the problem to take them out of social media, because the bad people from social media, they can still access these platforms. So at the end of the day, I think it's probably, it would be great to start thinking about how we can maybe prevent these bad actors to access these platforms instead of preventing young people to be on this platform in the first place. Thanks.
It's not only the bad actors, it's also the bad design, and the bad design is there, whoever the actors are. Anyway, there was another question.
Thank you.
I think it's time.
Yeah. Sorry, but you can ask questions outside of the room.
Other burning question? Yeah, I think better to ask before. And Jeanne, you're ambassador, so I think you are allowed to share your own opinion on this and your.
I did a great job not speaking. You know, at some point I wanted to answer the question. I was like, no, it's not my role. No, it's okay. I'm okay in this
okay,
moderation role. It's okay.
Okay, so then I mean, that was less indeed like intense panel. I mean, with strong views. Also, I mean, some hope. I mean, because we see that there are directions, and I don't feel like you disagree. I mean, yeah, maybe like fine tuning some things, but for your very strong, I mean, opinions, testimonies, and work. So I think it was a great panel to conclude the first day of the Trust and Safety Forum. Tomorrow we have a closed session where we are going to bring together behind closed doors, young people, NGOs, platforms, regulators. So we'll try in our own way to try to create a dialogue and have, I mean, direct, I mean, frank discussions, but behind closed doors, not public. It's open to people could register, so it was not closed in terms of who could attend. So this is a way we try at the Trust and Safety Forum to have meaningful conversations, so beyond the public day that we had today. So we'll see where it goes, and this is our contribution. Thank you, Shani. Thank you, all of you today. And now the cocktail is just the other room on the end of the corridor. So you should rush to have the final drinks and take time between you to discuss. Thank you.